I said, I'm going to throw a few back. And he went, no, mate, calm down, no, put those back. 2 minutes later, Richo's called the crowd a pack of arseholes, and the joint just went mental. So 1992 was one of the weirdest years for us because fortunately we won the race in 1991 in a Nissan. So when it wasn't a Ford or a Holden, it was already controversial. You know, the tribal rivalry of Ford and Holden at Bathurst is, you know, it's folklore. It's the DNA of the event. The day was incredible. I mean, the car was the fastest. We'd led the race pretty much all day. But it was so dangerous. It rained so hard. And when it rains at Bathurst, it's such a wild place. I mean, there's just rivers of water running across the road. At 250 or 260 kilometres an hour, the car would burst into wheel spin and want to turn itself around on the main straight. Man, does that make your eyes go big. We were leading the race. Jim Richards was in the car, and Jimmy was sort of acknowledged as the rainmaster. He was the superstar in the wet. And when he was caught on slick tyres and it started to rain, he actually went in the fence. The team's all gone into, you know, state of repair mode, everyone running for bits and all the things, but the car never got back. The rain was so torrential that the rivers of water washed the car off the road. There were already 4 or 5 cars that had crashed in the same spot, and all the cars ended up together, washed off the road, and immediately Ivan Stibbard, who was the head of the ARDC of the day, they were the people that run the race meeting, they put the red flag out and stopped the race. And we were all sort of bemused, we didn't know what was going to happen. By the time Jimmy got down to the pit area, it would have been 3 or 4 minutes later, we were told by a marshal who'd come into our pit area and said, you guys have won the race. And we went mad. You know, everybody was jumping around like maniacs because, you know, winning Australia's biggest race is a pretty big deal. So we knew the crowd probably wasn't going to be overly in love with a Nissan win, especially a controversial Nissan win. And we could hear the animosity, we could hear the uproar that happened when Crompo gave them the bird. We also heard the uproar when Dick Johnson fired them up because he thought that he should have won because his car was still parked in mint condition. And he basically said, you know, we should have won the race. He conveniently forgot that 10 years earlier, or roughly 10 years earlier, he'd won the race under similar circumstances when the race was stopped. So everyone was bluing, so all the Ford fans were feral as well as everybody else. I walked over to the bar and I said to the gentleman behind the bar, could you just please pass me some beer? So I put all these Tooheys draft cans in my pocket. And Jimmy walks over to me and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to throw a few back. I was serious because I knew I could hear cans being chucked at the wall. And he went, no, mate, don't, hey, calm down, no, put those back. It wouldn't have been 2 minutes later that Richo's called the crowd a pack of arseholes, and the joint just went mental. There's beer cans coming at us, we were ducking stuff. I mean, one of the funniest things was that the managing director of Nissan of the day, a guy called Leon Daphne, ended up being president of the Richmond Football Club, and he and his beautiful wife, Kerry, were parked at the back of the crowd. When Kerry got her umbrella, a Nissan umbrella, started whacking blokes. It was just fantastic. Fortunately for Richo, 10 years later, Jimmy and I were able to win in 2002 in a Holden, and he called them a pack of wonderful people. So he was able to make amends 10 years on, but that 1992 podium was one of the ones that when we do have a beer these days, we have a laugh and a joke. But at the time, it was pretty wild.